police interventions, store shutdowns, global chaos. This wasn't a riot over scarce resources. It was the launch of a plastic watch. The Audemars Piguet X Swatch Royal Pop was supposed to be a historic collaboration. Instead, it descended into a global fiasco, with scenes that looked more like a crisis than a product release. Rumors of pepper spray and reports of arrests surfaced from cities around the world. Dozens of Swatch stores were forced to shut down. How did one of the most respected luxury brands on the planet, Audemars Piguet, end up in the middle of this pandemonium? And was this a colossal marketing failure or a twisted stroke of genius? To get why this launch went so spectacularly off the rails, you have to understand the two names involved. On one side, you've got Audemars Piguet. AP is part of the holy trinity of Swiss watchmaking. They don't just sell watches, they craft horological masterpieces. Their most iconic creation, the Royal Oak, is a legend. It's a watch that can cost tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, with multi-year waiting lists for the privilege of owning one. AP is the definition of exclusivity, heritage, and handcrafted luxury. On the other side, there's Swatch. Fun, accessible, colorful, and unapologetically plastic. Swatch is the brand that played a major role in saving the Swiss watch industry in the 80s by making watches that were cool, affordable, and sold at the mall. They are the epitome of mass market appeal. So, a collaboration between these two is like hearing that Rolls-Royce is co-designing a car with Honda. It's a concept so jarring, so fundamentally opposed in brand identity, that it was guaranteed to get people talking. Swatch gains the prestige of a high horology name, and AP gets a massive dose of pop culture relevance, theoretically opening the brand up to a new generation of aspirational fans. It's a textbook example of contrast branding, designed to create an energy neither brand could generate alone. The stage was set for a monumental event. No one seemed to anticipate it would be a monumental disaster. The pre-launch marketing was a masterclass in building hype. Swatch teased the collaboration for days, withholding official images and fueling a firestorm of speculation on social media. By the time the launch day arrived in mid-May 2026, anticipation had boiled over into a frenzy. It wasn't just a few dedicated watch nerds, it was a global phenomenon. And then, chaos erupted. From New York to Milan, London to Mumbai, the scenes were shockingly similar. Huge, unmanageable crowds formed overnight, filled not just with excited fans, but with professional flippers ready to turn a quick, massive profit. Unconfirmed claims of pepper spray being used on crowds in New York spread on social media. In Cardiff, UK, an arrest was made. In Troy, Michigan, 3 people were arrested for refusing to leave after the event was canceled. It was a complete breakdown of order. Stores that were supposed to be the epicenters of a celebratory launch became hotspots of frustration and aggression. One viral clip captured a man shouting, "We are not animals. The store is not opening today." A sentiment that perfectly summed up the mood. Faced with overwhelming and sometimes dangerous situations, Swatch had no choice but to start shutting things down. Some events were delayed or halted in cities like Dubai and London, and multiple stores across the US temporarily closed. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Instead of pictures of cool new watches, social media was flooded with videos of fights, police interventions, and thousands of disappointed people who had waited for days, only to be sent home empty-handed. To make matters worse, a statement from Swatch appeared to deflect blame, suggesting the problem was insufficient organization by the shopping centers, which only deepened the public backlash. The launch had become a textbook case of hype completely overshooting operational capacity. The conversation was no longer about the watch, it was about the chaos. So what was this object that people were literally fighting over? After all the commotion, the anger, and the global headlines, we have to ask, what exactly times the Royal Pop? This is where the story takes another strange turn. For all the people who saw the APX Swatch name and immediately pictured a $400 version of the iconic Royal Oak wristwatch, there was a shocking twist. The Royal Pop is not a wristwatch, it's a pocket watch. The collection features 8 models in total, all housed in Swatch's signature bioceramic material. There are 2 distinct styles, a more traditional savonette style with a protective cover, and a minimalist lapine style. The designs are vibrant and playful, clearly inspired by pop art, with bold colors and graphic elements. Inside, they are powered by a new hand-wound version of the System 5.1 movement, a genuinely impressive piece of Swatch Group engineering with a 90-hour power reserve. But the format changes everything. For many enthusiasts, the core identity of the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak is tied to its revolutionary design as a luxury time sports watch. It was meant to be worn on the wrist. Presenting this collaboration as a pocket watch felt to some like a bait and switch. It was a clever way for AP to lend its name without, in their eyes, truly diluting the core Royal Oak product. But for the hopeful masses who camped out dreaming of an affordable AP on their wrist, the reveal was a source of deep frustration and confusion. It was the ultimate gotcha moment in a launch already defined by missteps. This brings us to the central question. Was this launch a complete failure? Or was it, in some twisted way, a stroke of genius? The case for it being a catastrophic failure is pretty straightforward. First, there's the brand damage. Luxury is built on a perception of elegance, control, and exclusivity. The images of mob-like crowds and police intervention are the antithesis of that. For a brand like Audemars Piguet, being associated with such a public mess is a significant reputational risk that could alienate its core clientele of high-net-worth collectors. Many longtime enthusiasts felt the collaboration was a blatant cash grab that diluted the prestige of the AP name. Second, the launch openly catered to and was ultimately ruined by the reseller market. Within hours, the watches were appearing on resale sites with asking prices reaching into the thousands, many times the retail price. This confirmed for many that the event wasn't for collectors, but for flippers. It fuels a cynical and frustrating aspect of the hobby, turning the joy of collecting into a speculative, high-stakes game. However, the genius argument, while harder to stomach, cannot be ignored. From a pure marketing perspective, the launch was an unprecedented success. Millions of people who had never heard of Audemars Piguet are now aware of the brand. It generated a level of global media attention that a traditional watch release could never achieve. This is the playbook of modern drop culture, borrowed from the world of streetwear, where chaos and scarcity are not bugs, but features. The frantic queues and immediate sellout, however messy, create a powerful illusion of desirability. Some analysts argue that Swatch, having seen the similar chaos of the Omega Moon Swatch launch in 2022, knew these scenes were not just predictable, they were almost inevitable. They suggest Swatch wanted the hype and the spectacle, and they got exactly what they paid for in terms of visibility. Some commentators also noted positive movement in Swatch Group's share price around the period of the launch, though clear causation is difficult to prove. So back to the original question. Was the APX Swatch launch the worst ever? From a logistical, security, and customer experience standpoint, it was an undeniable disaster. It was poorly executed, dangerous in some cases, and left a trail of angry and frustrated people around the world. It is hard to defend it as anything other than one of the most visibly mishandled luxury releases in recent memory. But was it a marketing times failure? That's far less certain. The Royal Pop is now one of the most talked about watches on the planet. The collaboration has burrowed its way into the pop culture consciousness in a way that few timepieces ever do. The long-term brand damage to AP is still up for debate, and for Swatch, this chaos may simply be the cost of doing business in the hyper-competitive attention economy. Ultimately, the Royal Pop launch is a fascinating and deeply polarizing case study. It was a logistical nightmare born from a marketing masterstroke. It was a failure of operations, but a triumph of hype. It wasn't the launch many of us wanted, but it may have been the launch that perfectly reflects the state of luxury and hype in 2026. But what do you think? Was this a brilliant move to bring attention to the watch world, or a black mark on a legendary brand that'll be hard to wash away? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.